What's up, everybody? It's your favorite. I almost passed on this, and I'm glad I didn't. Favorite nerd. Why? Because I'm actually very happy and pleasantly surprised with how it turned out. Not to say it's perfect, but I am content. Spoilers for the final thoughts, but I figured I might as well tell you now. It's pretty good. Not perfect, not without issue, but pretty good. And I'm quite happy with it. But we're going to be objective until we get to the final thoughts, and then I'm going to let loose my my love for this figure. And that is not to say that I think it's perfect by any means, of like I've just stated, but I do think it's pretty good. But where do we start? In the beginning, or at the accessories. She comes with 4 extra hands in addition to the 2 fist hands that you saw in the opening footage. They are 2 holding hands, 2 posing hands. The posing hands are a little extreme. I would have preferred a little bit more relaxed or a little bit more kind of nuanced to the positioning of the hands, but that's the choice that they made. I can't see myself using them, but I guess that's fine. She comes with a sword, of course. Nice metallic light blue down at the handle. Nice gold on the guard there and the end of the hilt. Nice silver blade. Decent sculpt work running throughout the entire piece from hilt to tip. Really well done. She comes with a shield, brilliantly done on this brown plastic with the gold paint painted on. Gold paint painted on for the handles here and here. We'll talk about how to apply this in just a second. And then on the other side, we have the gold paint and tons of sculpt work, including all these little kind of inscriptions around the ridge there of the shield. Looks very, very good. We come with a lasso. This is the spare lasso that you can have on her hip. It's sculpted well enough with all the details in the lasso itself, and it's all coiled up nicely. And then we have the more weaponized lasso. This doesn't have a wire in it really or anything, so it doesn't seem like you're going to be able to pose it all that well. Maybe you can kind of work some magic and get something out of it. It doesn't look like it to me. One hand to hold it with, the other hand to maybe support it with. You know, it's kind of whatever your little imagination can come up with. And this has the metallic gold finish, as does the coiled one. And of course she holds that, and this, and that, and stows that with no problem. And lastly, she comes with an alternate face with the kind of like growling, you know, mouth on it, which is fine. Detailings are done the same with the exception of the teeth that are painted well enough. The digital paint does look great on this face, as it does on the other one in my opinion, and we'll get to that here shortly. So let's talk about the figure. The head sculpt, not perfect, but pretty good. This is another one of those units where I know people are going to look at it and be like, it doesn't look anything like her, but from some angles it certainly does. It's not every angle, and I think a lot of times they sculpt this stuff by looking at one picture, or they kind of focus on one picture, but all in all, it's definitely reminiscent of her. It definitely, especially from a distance, you know, a lot of this digital paint stuff, the further you get away from it, you know, the more you start to buy into it. But it's a really, really, really well done attempt. Like I said, not perfect, but pretty good. Look at that, the profile especially. So, all dot matrix painting for the face, all done well. For the headband, we have the silver and gold, all sculpted and painted. For silver and gold. You thought I was going to get away from me. And then we have the hair. The hair is shaded. It is a brown and has different shades of darker brown running throughout. However, because you can switch out the face, there's this gap here between the 2 sets of hair. Now, it does allow for a little bit more articulation, but I'm not sure it's worth the cost of doing business. I think if they would have made it one piece, it would have looked a bit better. Now, if you get it posed right, it's not going to bother you, and it actually adds a layer of depth to it, which I think is pretty cool. But every now and then, if you're posing it, you'd be like, man, it's a perfect pose, but the hair kind of ruins it. Now, one other issue with the hair, because you can take it off to add in the new face, there is this seam, and if I had my, I guess I can use this sword if I can't find my smudger. There is this seam that runs all the way around in here, all the way up through there, and around and down. And the seam is always there. There's no getting rid of it, and it does kind of take away from the suspension of disbelief. So not the best. Articulation-wise, though, it works okay. You have a double ball peg from the head into the neck, and then it feels like another double ball peg from the neck into the torso, but it could be a single. Now, using it, you can get down to there, but you start to break up the hair. Without breaking up the hair, you can get to there without a care on a bear. Want to share? I double dog dare. We'll call it fair. Stare. Wear. Mare, like a horse. All right, enough. So look, the swivel, another issue. You can swivel to this side pretty well, not so much to this side because you got this hair that gets in the way on the shoulder. If this was a softer plastic, you may have been able to do a little bit more with it, or if they sculpted it where it all kind of went behind the shoulder. Now, the hair in front of the shoulder is a dynamic look and it is cool, but it does certainly get in the way. So keep that in mind. Limited up as well. So a little bit of limited articulation in that regard. Now, let's talk about the other glaring issue, at least to me. And I could be wrong, but I'm looking at this thing under intense light. And I don't see any hint. Now, sometimes SH Figuarts and Figma, to be fair, can get really subtle. But I don't see any hint of shading throughout the skin tone of this figure, which I think it really would have benefited from. So that's a bit unfortunate. It definitely has a plasticky look throughout, especially in the upper body where you have the seams and the joints. But those joints do work well. Let's talk about them. You have a ball hinge at the shoulder that goes into a ball peg inside the torso, and then you have a sheath on the outside that is split in two pieces to allow for a tremendous butterfly joint. Getting the arm all the way in front, you can kind of do the cross gauntlet thing, but this one you have to work a little harder for because you can't get the shoulder in front of the hair. A little bit of a bummer. But the articulation is still pretty outstanding, and the butterfly joint works in reverse as well, all the way back to there. And of course you're going to have broken seams. It is a figure after all, but I think for what it is, it's pretty well done. Up, nothing down. Pretty well done. Now the bicep swivel, you get a little bit of a swivel at the shoulder, and then you also get it at the elbow. That covers that. You have gold and silver sculpted detailings on this kind of armlet here. All looks good. It's I guess it's not technically a ball hinge, but we'll call it that. At the elbow itself, single jointed, gets you a great range. For the gauntlets, they're all sculpted and painted with the brown leather straps and then the silver and gold detailings throughout. And then for the wrist, it's on a ball hinge. You get up, down, or you can swivel it and get in, out, perfectly done, typical Figuarts fashion, and works like a champ. If it ain't broke, don't try and fix it. The gloves are all sculpted and painted a brown and work just fine. Same for the other side, except you don't get this armlet, which is appropriate. So you have this floating piece here, which lays fairly naturally, I think. The natural curve there, the curve down the hip, it sits pretty natural. A lot of times stuff like this can seem a little, I don't know, out of place, but this works fairly well. Double ball peg from the upper chest into the abdomen, and then a single, you know, it feels almost like a double, but I think it's a single from the abdomen into the pelvis. Using both, you can get the figure bent over all the way to there, and no real breakup in the back, all the way up to there. And with this between the chest, covers up the breakup in the front. So that's pretty impressive and smart. A good use of resources. All the way over to there, we do get some breakup there, and to there, same issue. But it's fine, and you get the swivel at both joints. But you better swivel it the other way so that you can actually have her looking fairly close in the right direction. Or I mean this way, rather. I had it right the first time. Okie dokie. Now, for the chest detailings itself, we have everything sculpted and sculpted well. We have the metallic red paint on the chest. It is shaded as well. And then we have the gold and silver, or silver and gold, painted around the crest of the WW and the bird, so to speak, at the top of the chest. All that works extremely well. Now, we have this floating piece here for the skirt. Sculpted well enough. It's a softer plastic. We do have layers to it, so that works well. We have the metallic blue and gold and silver paint throughout. We have the underoos, which are painted with the metallic blue as well throughout. That works. We have T-jointed ball joints for hips. Easy, lads. You can get the full Monty just about, and pretty far out on the splits as well. So no real complaints there. You have a thigh swivel, that works fine. You have a double jointed knee, that works fine. The armor hides the knee and makes it look really good, as a matter of fact. The knee pads are all sculpted and painted with the gold, and then we have the the brown leather straps painted around the upper thighs, the knee joint obviously, and then we have the metallic red, the metallic gold, and the leather straps sculpted and painted into the lower leg. And then we have the ankles that are basically on a ball hinge, which gets you an ankle tilt up slightly, down a bit more, and you can manipulate them. It's a little tricky to do, but I should be able to. Let's see if I have any better luck on this. Sometimes these joints are a little tight. There. You got to turn the ball hinge one way, turn the ankle back the other way. Which I'm not able to do. Maybe you can't do it. But you can get a little bit of, oh, there it is. There it is. And then you get your ankle rocker. So it's built into the tab, I guess. You just have to swivel it around, which is a little bit more convenient, but it wouldn't be as well executed if I could maneuver that around, but I'm just not able to get it. But you can get your ankle rocker. You should be able to see it there. So yeah, I mean, like a couple of little, griefs and little beefs here and there, but I think overall it's pretty well done. There's the back of the figure. I mean, it's for what it is, what it's trying to do, give you the dynamic look with the hair and all. I think it's fairly well executed. Not perfect, but fairly well executed. For a quick comparison, there she is with the BVS Wonder Woman from Mafex. Now, I know Mafex has a Justice League one coming, but I'm telling you, I personally think that this Figuarts one does a better job in the face. Neither one of them are perfect, and yes, I would agree, but I just, from my sensibilities, I prefer this, so that was the decision I went. But I was on the fence. I was on the fence until it arrived, and when it arrived, I felt like my faith had been restored. Final thoughts-wise, let's talk about the issues. I wish the lasso had a wire in it so it was a little bit more posable. I wish the hand choices, like I don't know about these straight hands. I wish it would have come with a more posing type hand or something to kind of openly hold the lasso maybe. The skin I feel like does lack shading throughout and would have benefited from some subtle, very subtle shading throughout. And it might be there and I just can't pick it up, but if it is there and I can't pick it up, maybe slightly less subtle. And then of course the hair seam and the problems that the hair poses to the articulation of the head of the figure is an issue. And while we're here real quick, you can see that I don't think I went over the shoulder articulation, that it goes up, it goes actually far. I mean, it's just the hair once again that gets in the way. And then there's also a toe hinge. Good grief, bringing the house down, Bob. A toe hinge right there that's really natural and really well done. But I think that overall it's very good. But those are the issues that I would say are going to stand out to you. A lot of pluses though. The rest of the articulation works like a champ. The sculpt is amazing. The paint is amazing. The accessories, you get plenty of weapons, faces. Could use some extra hands, and a display base would have been nice so I could have done stuff like this without having to jack one of my other ones. The presence is great, it's extremely well balanced, and it's toleranced beautifully. So it's a recommend from me. If you want to wait and see how the Mafex one pans out, there's nothing wrong with that. Patience saves pockets, as some have said. But for my money, I can't tell you how satisfied I am with this figure. Maybe it's because I was worried it was going to be terrible, because some of the images that started coming out, started to look a little questionable. I don't think she photographs extremely well, but in hand, a really, really, really well done figure. So, hope that helps. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.